It was 7:30 p.m. Friday night in April. I was hanging at a friend's house and I received a phone call from my sister. It read, "Have to come get you. Be there in 5." I remember sitting there, my heart racing, worried, confused. A few moments later, she arrived. As I walked up to the car, I opened the door, and immediately tears began to shut down my face. I looked up at her, and she had a worried look. She was blushing. I said, "What's wrong? What's happening?" She said, "Look behind you." And that's when it all made sense. Boxes, flat brown boxes from Home Depot filled the back of my car. Dad lost his court case. We have to begin to pack. My heart dropped. I was at a loss of words. After a silent car ride, we finally arrived home. My driveway was dark and filled with cars. And as I walked in, my living room was filled with bright lights and half-messy filled boxes scattered everywhere. And my family was sitting around, and there was an unexpected laughter. I remember my aunt saying, "Now we'll be together all the time. We'll take walks by the Charles River." It was weird. I didn't think that they'd be laughing or trying to crack jokes, but they were doing everything in their power to make the day seem okay and alive, not full of depression or dullness. It was comforting. The next morning was a beautiful Saturday, and after a sleepless night of packing, I decided to go on a walk. And I remember seeing all these houses that I grew up with, and every pothole and curve that I knew by heart. And it was weird to me, because so quickly it was all just going to be a memory. Sorry. You see, before all of this, I never really knew the financial situation that my family was in. I'm one of 5. I have 2 older sisters who graduated high school and are almost done with college, a brother who finished high school, and a sister who's still in middle school. Sure, we had an idea that we weren't as financially stable given the fact that my dad lost his business 5 years ago, but we never knew it would be to the extent where we'd be without a home. Up to that time, my challenges as a teen were pretty difficult. Maintaining high school status, making sport teams, focusing on college, you know, the average teen. Sorry. Okay. As we all know, living in a town like Wayland, we're privileged in a lot of ways. Our town is tight-knit, educated, wealthy, the typical suburban town. But you see, the moment that I left my last footsteps at a place that I called home for the past 16 years of my life took a big turn for me. My struggles as a teen and my challenges weren't the same. I was hit with a new flame of struggles. That weekend that I spent packing my life into a limited amount of boxes, I couldn't stop thinking about how I was going to tell my friends or classmates about what happened. Foreclosure in Wayland was rare. It didn't happen, and I was scared. I didn't want to be ashamed or embarrassed, but I was just a high schooler, so I had to deal with it. About 3 weeks after, I was finally able to share my story with my friends. And shockingly, I was able to compose myself and not be so filled with emotion. They were all great supporters. Most of them offered up their homes for me and any other help that they could, and I was grateful. A few days later, I moved in with my friend and her family. She's one of 3, 2 little twin brothers, and awesome welcoming parents. They made me feel like I was at home. They gave me their own place to stay, my own place to stay. And they tried to make my days just that much better and more alive. But they didn't just give me a roof over my head or a shelter. They gave me a second family. I spent holidays with them, vacations. In the next 8 months, the summer passed filled with endless memories and fun. But aside from that fun, my relationships with my family were weakening. With my new job at Stop and Shop and the long commutes, I rarely ever got to see them. Sorry. Junior year was right around the corner, and I had all new challenges and stress. I played field hockey in the fall and took on 6 courses. But yet, my relationships were still strained. It was strange to me being without a home. My sister was going to school 5 minutes away from me, yet I was seeing her every week or so. Not to mention my mom, I saw her every couple of weeks. And my older sisters and my brother, with their busy schedules and mine, I rarely ever got to see them. And when I did, it was scheduled or natural. Our relationships were left to become virtual. It was left to FaceTime calls, phone calls, texts. It was different than what I grew up with, but we managed. A few months went by, and I moved in with my friend and her father, and they were awesome. They welcomed me with a great deal of joy and independence. They had an incomparable bond that I truly admired. Living with these families opened my eyes. I realized how supportive our town was. My family was discreet before all of this. We didn't really share much. It was hard for us to take these handouts, but when we did, we were really thankful. Both of these families were really different from what I grew up with. We were given a new set of rules, but the family bonds were really familiar to me. So I'd say that my challenges as a teen changed, no longer typical. I had to start thinking about my future. Getting into college wasn't going to be so easy. I had to start taking the opportunities that I was given, applying for scholarships, finding alternatives. I also had to maintain my family relationships and make sure that they were still tight. But most of all, I had to make sure that I was happy and maintaining a positive attitude, the best that I knew how to. I also had the privilege of experiencing a major reality check. Being a teen, you don't get to see much outside of this world. And this issue was mine. I didn't think I could deal with it. To be blunt, it sucked. This whole thing felt unfair, strange. But when I overcame it, I was thankful and I moved past all of my anger. I was able to see what happens on in the world, past my naive teenage worldview. And today, I feel really lucky for that. Over the course of this year, I've learned a lot about independence and not taking things for granted. I realized that life is too short. It sounds cliche because we hear it all the time, but it's true. After experiencing one of the hardest events in my life, I realized that we can't take every struggle as a negative component in our life. We all deal with something, no matter how big or small. They're all unique and they're comparable. Without the bad, we wouldn't see the good. We live to make memories and do the things we love. And so I want you guys to take it from me and try. Try to not let these hardships make you stop. Life can be captured in small, moving boxes or extravagant homes, but there's beauty to be found everywhere. Unfortunately, things do get in the way, and they'll make you stop and backpedal. But find a detour, because along the way, you'll find some really beautiful scenery.